Welcome to the July 23rd Berkeley County School Board of Education meeting. I call the meeting to order. I declare that a quorum is present and that the media has been notified. Do I have a motion for approval of tonight's agenda as well as a second?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Mr. Obie has moved to approve the agenda. Dr. Etheridge has seconded that motion. We'll call the question. All those in favor of approving the agenda, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Tonight's agenda has been approved. Please join me for the opening prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, moving on to agenda item number 4, approval of the minutes. Board, I'm going to separate these into two separate motions. Do I have a motion and a second for the approval of the minutes from the public hearing of June 25th, 2013?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to amend the minutes. There's a typo.
Gotcha. Yes.
Both.
All right.
I'd like to make a motion that we amend the public hearing minutes. It states a budget information number of $215,567,440, and the number should be $215,367,440. So the 5 should be a 3.
All right. So do I have a second for the motion with amendment?
I'll second.
Mr. Obie has seconded the motion with Mr. Cooper's amendment. All right. Any discussion regarding the amendment or the motion to approve the minutes from the public hearing of June 25th? Hearing no discussion, we'll call the question. All those in favor of approving the minutes from the public hearing of June 25th with stated amendment, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. The motion carries 9-0. The minutes and the amendment by Mr. Cooper for the public hearing of June 25th has been approved. Do I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of June 25th, 2013?
You do. Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a similar motion to approve with an amendment. Again, similar typo on the same numbers. In the regular minutes under the financial services piece, there is a $215,387,440 number, and it needs to again have that 367 in there, which would make it $215,367,440, same as in the public hearing.
Do I have a second for the motion, including approval of the amendment?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Schwabe. Mr. Cooper has moved to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of June 25th. He has also stated an amendment due to a typographical error. Ms. Schwabe has seconded that motion. Do we have any discussion regarding the approval of those minutes? Did I get it right?
I think it's Ms. Lee.
Ms. Lee, I apologize. Ms. Lee, not Ms. Schwabe. Ms. Lee, I'll do a better job listening next time. So Mr. Cooper has made the motion. Ms. Lee has seconded. Any discussion? Not hearing any discussion, we'll move to call the question. All those in favor of approving the minutes of the regular meeting of June 25th, including Mr. Cooper's amendment, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. The motion carries 9-0. The minutes for the regular meeting of June 25th has been approved, along with the stated amendment, and the chair thanks all those who discovered that typographical error. Moving on to agenda item number 5, do I have a motion and a second for the approval of the June 2013 Head Start reports and budgets?
Mr. Chair, you do. I move that we approve the June 2013 Head Start budget and credit card expenditures and the August Berkeley County School District menus and the review of the Berkeley Dorchester Head Start June monthly reports, the June Policy Council meeting, and the recruitment and training flyers and the academic calendar.
Thank you, Mr. Obie. Do I have a second?
Second.
Dr. Etheridge has seconded the motion. All right, all those, is there any discussion regarding the June 2013 Head Start reports and budgets? Hearing no discussion, we'll call the question. A motion has been made by Mr. Obie. That motion has been seconded by Dr. Etheridge to approve the June 2013 Head Start reports and budgets as listed in agenda item number 5. All of those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. The motion carries unanimously, 9-0. Agenda item number 5 has been approved. Moving on to agenda item number 6, entitled Special Recognition. Ms. Kovach.
Good evening, Chairman Murray, Dr. Thompson, members of the board. We have a few special recognitions tonight, actually recognizing board members. The South Carolina School Boards Association, as many of you are aware, provides leadership training to all members of the South Carolina School Boards Association. Established in 1982, the Boardmanship Institute offers year-round training and curriculum focused on leadership skills for board members at the state and national level on educational issues. Tonight, we're pleased to let you know that Mr. Doug Cooper and Mr. Scott Marino have both achieved the next level up in their training. Doug Cooper, level 3, and Scott Marino, level 1. And if you would join me and Dr. Thompson, we'll do a quick photo. And the other thing under special recognitions this evening, you received a July Legacy Builders, and I just wanted to point out two very special people in our Legacy Builders. We're going to be doing an Everyday Hero recognition in the 2013-14 school year as something new to our recognitions, and we have two folks that we thought we should mention. On page 4, Sue Hagen was recently named the president of the Kappa Kappa Iota organization, the country's oldest organization for educators. This is a wonderful honor, not only for Sue directly, but also for Berkeley County to have someone in our district identified. Sue could not be with us this evening. She's on vacation this week, but we definitely wanted to extend our welcome and congratulations to her for that accomplishment. And then on page 6, just wanted to, as part of our Everyday Hero, we wanted to start letting folks know of some of the wonderful things that are happening in our community with folks that interact with our district. And in this particular case, a Moncks Corner Police Department officer, Kevin Hamner, was on the scene and able to provide CPR assistance to one of our bus aides. Not only did he end up saving Ms. Nelson's life, she is actually now recovering and will hopefully be able to join us as an employee again. So it was an enormous opportunity for him to be able to be on the scene and provide CPR and assistance as an everyday hero in Berkeley County. That concludes special recognitions.
Thank you, Ms. Kovach. Moving on to citizens' comments. Ms. Hare, we have not received any citizens' comments for this evening, so we'll move on to agenda item number 7. Agenda item 8, entitled Administration and Facilities. And part of Mr. Franchini's presentation will deal with the first reading of policy JQKA, foreign exchange students, to be followed by a capital projects update. Mr. Franchini.
Good evening, Dr. Murray, Dr. Thompson, members of the board. You have received the revisions to foreign exchange students, policy JQKA. The administration is recommending that in the third paragraph, in the third sentence, that we change that the petitions that come to the district must come at least 3 months prior to the time instead of 6 months. This is in keeping with what we currently do in practice, and we're just bringing the policy in practice. And administration recommends a first reading for this policy change.
Thank you, Mr. Franchini. Do I have a motion and a second for the approval of agenda item 8A, first reading of policy JQKA?
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve policy JQKA, foreign exchange students, for first reading as revised.
I'll second.
Mr. Obie? Ms. Schwabe has made a motion to approve the first reading of policy JQKA. That motion has been seconded by Mr. Obie. Do we have any discussion or questions for Mr. Franchini? Hearing no questions or discussion, we'll call the question. All those in favor of the motion to approve Agenda Item A, the first reading of policy JQKA, foreign exchange students, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. The motion carries unanimously. Mr. Franchini, the first reading of policy JQKA has been approved.
Thank you.
Now for the capital projects update.
Just in case you all weren't unaware, we're getting ready to build some schools and renovate some other ones. This is an update on where we are to date with our projects. The overall schedules, you've seen this before. Those under procurement, meaning those that we have already awarded contracts to both architects and contractors. Well, excuse me, I'm sorry, apologize. That's the next slide. This slide is those that we are issuing those RFQs currently, and we will be working toward that in the near future. We'll be doing some interviews in 1st of September for these. And you can see the timeline for the completion of these projects for the Clements Ferry High School, August of 2017. The Clements Ferry Daniel Island Middle School, that's pending site selection at this time, but our goal is to have that in August of 2016. Cross High School renovations, May of 2015. Marrington Middle School addition and renovations, January of 2015. And the new Fox Bank Elementary School, August of 2018. The started projects, these are the ones that where we've already issued contracts for our contractors and for our architects. Nexton Elementary School, our completion goal is May of 2015. Tanner Plantation, Foster Creek area, August of 2015. Goose Creek High School renovation, spring of 2016. And Stratford High School addition, February of 2015. Projects in procurement, Cross High School renovations, Marrington Middle School addition and renovations, a new high school at Clements Ferry Road area, an elementary school at Fox Bank, a new middle school at the Clements Ferry Road area, and again, that's pending site selection. To give you an idea of what we're going to, reminder of what we're going to be doing at Cross High School, the scope of this project will consist of expanding the current auditorium. Actually, it's a multi-purpose room into the existing media center and making that into an actual auditorium for that school because they currently do not have one, and relocating the media center to an area that is more easily accessible and usable for our local community in addition to the school itself. As you'll remember, that community does not have a public library, so we're going to be working with the public library system in Berkeley County to have some joint usage agreement for that facility, and you'll see on the next slide where we will propose to place this media center so that we'll have access to the outside and to a parking lot. We'll also include a facelift and reconfiguration of locker rooms in the gym to accommodate a new visitor team within the current space. Those locker rooms are in very bad shape and need a lot of work there. You can see the square footage and what that includes. And our scheduled timeline for this project is September of 2013 through May of 2015. On the left side over here in this rectangle, this is the gymnasium. This is the locker rooms that will be renovated and the visitors' locker rooms created there. The center rectangle, the front part of this, or this area here, is the current multipurpose room. The back is the current media center. Again, we will be removing the wall in between those two and making an auditorium with a stage and auditorium seating here. And then this area in the back, currently there are a couple of science rooms that are not needed. There are enough science rooms in the facility for the current population, so we renovating this to be the media center and As I said, this area right here is already an exterior door that could be easily used, and there's parking along here, and the stadium is even over here, so that's will be very accessible for the community for that media center / public library. Marrington Middle School addition. The scope of the project includes adding a multi-purpose room so that it can be jointly used by the elementary school and the middle school as a gym and performance area and auditorium. You know that that school is a school of the arts, and we currently do not have a place that is fitting for students to do performances. They have a very, very small stage, you'll remember, that's actually been built by our maintenance department with some 2x4s and plywood in the cafeteria. Their current multi-purpose room is just really a big box, and so we are proposing to build a new area, and this building would provide the middle school locker rooms, classrooms for drama, dance, and chorus and strings, and also a covered walkway. So the building is accessible for the middle school and the elementary school. This is where that building would be, and of course the elementary school is down here, and this is the middle school campus. The existing gym space is planned to be renovated into art and band classrooms, and then we'll have some minor revisions to the cafeteria itself. And this is the current multi-purpose room. This would be the band room, and then 2 art rooms proposed on that side. Again, for this, our scheduled project delivery is September 2013 through January of 2016. We're also proposing, as you know, a new high school for the Clements Ferry Road area. This school will serve the Cainhoy and Daniel Island attendance zones. We have a site plan in this solicitation that we're seeing here. Gives you an idea of where we could place a school. It is planned for about 221,000 square feet to serve about 950 students in the beginning, with room to expand that school to serve 1,500 students. We, of course, have not acquired any land for this school. We are still in that process of looking at land and talking with realtors, but our opening date is planned for August of 2017. A new elementary school at Foxbank Plantation, just down the road here off of Highway 52. It will serve grades pre-K through 5th grade. This new school will be located on some land that the Foxbank subdivision has donated, this pink area right here. This is the one entrance into the Foxbank subdivision, where most of the housing development is already current. This is the second entrance where you see now there's already some commercial activity that's begun to be built there. This would be that entrance right here, so this is where the school will be located. It will have almost 100,000 square feet and will be built to serve about 780 students with expansion possibilities to serve about 900 students. For this school, we would have to obtain approval from the Foxbank Plantation Architectural Review Board as a part of the design team's responsibilities. Obviously, since they are giving us the land and they want it to fit in with the architecture and the design of the subdivision itself. Also, the other thing that would need to be done, the town of Moncks Corner is planning to build a fire station that would be adjacent to the land where we'd be having the school, so that still needs to be worked out, but maybe sharing some of the utility access and site planning might be done as a coordination between the town of Moncks Corner as well as with the school district. But we believe that this is going to be an excellent opportunity to take advantage of this land for both the town as well as the school district. Our estimated start time is winter 2016-17 with this planned school opening of August of 2018. Projects underway. I'll go over the sequencing steps. I'll talk about the Nexon Elementary School, the Tanner Foster Creek Area Elementary School, the Goose Creek High School renovations, and the Stratford High School addition. This shows you a comparison of what we used to do when built schools, and in some places they still do, compared to what we currently do. On the left side is the traditional You have schematic plans, you have a design development, you get a construction document, then you go into bid. And you don't know what you're going to have until you get to that point. Then we have a construction phase, substantial completion, and project closeout. But all these are very done independently, and we don't have architects, we don't have contractors, and we don't have the school district all working together as we do in the beginning, as we do with the integrated project delivery system, which we are utilizing for our schools now. Under these phases right in here, everyone is working together. When I say everyone, we're bringing the architect together, we're bringing the contractor together, we're bringing school district staff together as we look at first of all, we had the conceptualization phase, and in that particular meeting, we had community members involved as well as district staff. What do we need at Goose Creek High School for the renovations? What do we need at Nexon Elementary School? What don't we need that we currently have in some of our schools? So the conceptualization phase and the design criteria all working together. The detailed design is coming through, and then the implementation documents. I've been in meetings already with, for example, in Nexon, because we're a little bit further along with that particular project, where we've had the contractor at the table, we've had the architectural team at the table, as well as district staff. And in that meeting, we've talked about, okay, well, right now we've got a Cadillac design. Well, we've got to get this down a little bit because we know that we're going to have a budget for this. Well, if we change this floor covering, if we change this a little bit with casework, if we do something different, then we can make some changes of what the cost would be without making a difference as far as structural integrity of a school. So it's been a wonderful process, and once all that is completed, we will establish a guaranteed maximum price that will come then to the school board for approval and issue that guaranteed maximum price amendment. So then we get into the construction phase, again, substantial completion, and then a project closeout. But again, everyone is involved in this process, and everybody has an iron in the fire to make sure that this process works well. Where we are with, and I've already talked a little bit about this, with the Nexon Elementary School, original budget, construction costs, and site work was scheduled to be about $15.4 million. Activities underway, the criteria design phase, pricing review by contract construction. We've already done that. They've already let us know where we are at this point, so we know that we've got to go back and possibly make some cuts in some areas. We've had some coordination already with the Nexton Development Design Review Board comments on the exterior design, and you've already been briefed on that. And I have some more information for you tonight. Coordination of interior design of classrooms and commons area, we're already working on that. We've had some very detailed meetings about colors of flooring and walls, and some folks have some very interesting ideas, but we've tried to make sure that we have something that's going to be, as best we can, is timeless, but also make it inviting for our students and for our community and our staff members. I could go on. I won't read all of these. Energy code compliance verification. We'll be working under the 2012 International Building Code compliance verification, and of course working with OSF coordination. One of the things that I didn't say from the previous slide is OSF is involved from the very beginning in this process. And what we've done in the past is that we have the design, we start construction, and then they come in and they say, oh, you can't do that. And so we've had a lot of change orders sometimes, as this board and the previous boards have known. But they're involved from the very beginning. In fact, we had a meeting last month where we brought the contractors and architects and OSF together in this room, where OSF talked about the changes in the OSF guidelines and the process that we were using. They were very excited about our process and wanting to make sure that we work together so that it's not a gotcha, which was sort of what had happened in the past, unfortunately. I believe this will be very positive. We've done a shade study for the courtyard to determine where we Want to make sure we place the kindergarten play areas, for example, and some shade structure for those outdoor play areas, and hope to have a schematic budget review meeting on August the 6th. Project schedule, again, the design phase going through September of 2013, and then permitting between August 1st and December, and actual construction December through May of 2015. This is the front elevation of the school as it appears now, and has been approved by the Design Review Board of Nexon Development, and you can see that there have been some modifications maybe to something you had seen earlier at the board retreat, I think, but now the central or the focus for the school is the front entrance here. We've done some things different with some of the windows and some of the roof line along in here, also lowering this a little bit. This is exactly what the front roof or the covered area, the portico there will look like, and this is what the columns will look like for the front as well as over on the side for the bus loop. For the Tanner Foster Creek area elementary school, original budget construction cost and site work of about $16.5 million. We've already done some site selection and due diligence for a piece of property. We're continuing to look at some alternate sites to make sure that we have the best site available for this school, and also some alternate building designs, concepts for any alternate sites that we have. We are in the conceptualization phase already. We're looking at the criteria design between May 6th and August the 15th. We're 50% complete there. Again, with our construction plan for February of 2014 through June of 2015. Goose Creek High School renovation. As you know, this will be one of our most ambitious projects because we will be doing complete renovation of that school almost, as well as new construction while we have about 1,700 students on that campus. The original budget construction cost and site work, $22.3 million, almost $22.4 million there. Activities underway, our due diligence, we're working on geotech reports and survey, study the traffic flow in coordination with Berkeley County, trying to determine where the best place for a temporary bus loop while we're doing construction, as well as a permanent bus loop, parent drop-off loop, and also student and faculty parking. A study of the pricing of the final concepts and phasing with structural, geotechnical, civil engineer, and contractor. Then a presentation of the recommended concept for approval, hopefully by the end of this month. Again, our goal is to construction for this from the spring of next year, 2014, through the spring of 2016. This shows you currently what we're looking at as far as conceptualization for this project. This is the current auditorium to give you an idea. This is Red Bank Road here. This is the current parking area. And looking at the possibility of adding a building, classroom building here that would be on the front of the campus. This wing would be also an addition to the side of the campus, and adding classroom space here. But this green area is creating something that the school does not currently have, is a courtyard area for students to be able to utilize, but also to have sort of as a central focus for this school. But then there would be this open area then would be contained. As you know, all of this area now is a series of separate buildings that are connected by breezeways. Our goal is that we'd be able to have students under a roof, under one roof basically, is throughout this area, so that we would not be going from building to building through breezeways on this campus. That would be our goal. Stratford High School, original budget, construction costs and site work almost $7 million. Activities underway, due diligence, study of existing and new mechanical, electrical, and plumbing systems and how to tie in Obviously, by having an addition, we have to make sure that whatever we do can work within the existing system. Review of the concept design, preparing schematic design to submit to OSF. We are 100% complete of the conceptualization phase, 75% on the criteria design. Detailed design has begun and will continue through November 1st, with the construction looking at March of 2014 through February of 2015. This gives you the concept design. The area in gray is the existing facility. This is the cafeteria. As you know, the cafeteria is inadequate as far as seating for that size school. We're proposing to add additional seating area and serving areas for this school, and then tie in the additional classroom space here with additional classrooms that could be used for, some of them will be used designated for CTE classrooms as well as regular classrooms. Current proposal is this large CTE lab would be looking at relocating the culinary arts program from the separate building into this new addition, so that actually the lab space would be larger and designed for current use or current needs instructionally, but also then it would be adjacent to the cafeteria so that it would be able to be used as far as dining facilities for the culinary arts program. And this would be the second floor, again additional classroom space for that building. This is a recap of a budget that I presented to you, or budgets that I presented to you some time ago, as to some estimated costs that we had in the spring of 2012 of what this construction could cost. It ran anywhere from a low into a median price to also a high price. We based our projects pretty much on the median price. That was our goal, is to look toward that. But again, I want to reemphasize that these were based on prices that we knew in existence in the spring of last year. Land acquisitions and associated costs are under negotiation, or will be. So I don't have any dollar figures there as to what they could be. As you know, we've already had some land given to us for both, I've mentioned, for both Fox Bank as well as for Nexton. And we could end up with some other situations where developers or landowners will want to give us some land or work with us in making the land more affordable for us. And I want to remind the board that up to 20% of the budget for these schools that we are doing as far as new construction as well as renovations will come from equipment acquisition funds for those things that would be covered by that, such as equipment, some of the things with technology, and those kinds of things. Questions? Yes,
All right.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Franchini. That was a very comprehensive presentation. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Franchini? Mr. Cooper, you have the floor.
Yeah, I've got a couple of questions, and it ties to some of the equipment stuff. I know that we either have completed or are getting close to completed a study on HVAC systems and the types of technologies that might impact those costs, since OSF no longer approves what we did at King Bay Middle School. So where are we on that, and what's the outcome of that?
We have that, and it's my intent to speak with the superintendent about bringing that at the next board meeting for your information.
I guess the other thing I'd ask for the next board meeting, or one here soon, is could you bring us back a best guess estimate on the individual impact fees that the county's going to be charging us for each one of these projects?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Cooper, any further questions? All right, Mr. Obie, you have the floor. Mr. Cooper, they will be coming back with a monthly update on throughout the building plan.
Yep.
Mr. Obie, you have the floor, sir.
On the budgets that you have on there for each school, is that the turnkey budget, or is there some other dollars that are associated with each project?
No, sir, as I mentioned in
So like right there.
this slide,
Mhm.
Mr. Obie, this will be a process that we will work through with the contractor, with the architect, and with the school district to come up with the guaranteed maximum price, and then that will come to the board at that time. These are our estimates. With the original budget, and this was our estimates at the time.
So that's our estimate as far as turnkey goes?
No, sir.
No.
No? Okay.
That was there for just construction and site work on that number there.
All right, Mr. Obie, any further questions?
I'm trying to think. So then some of the other monies to finish the school or make it turnkey will come from the other 53 equipment acquisitions and other funds set aside for it?
Yes, sir.
Good?
I think
Good.
so.
Ms. Moore, you have the
Yes.
floor.
Yes, ma'am.
In relation to Cross High School, where did you say the media center would be placed?
If, Ms. Moore, if you look in this upper right-hand corner here,
Yes, okay.
that's where the new
That-
media center will be. Yes, ma'am.
In relation to the gym,
The-
is that near the gym?
It's on the
No, ma'am.
opposite
No, on the other side.
On the other side. This is the gymnasium.
On the other side.
This is the gymnasium over here on the left.
Oh, okay,
This is the front of the school, Ms. Moore.
okay. But that would not have any effect on the science. I thought you said something that you're going to cut out, you're going to use
Well,
some of the science.
we already,
room.
these are rooms that are not used currently for science.
Oh,
so
they're
we-
not being
No, ma'am,
used.
and we have enough science labs. Again, for a point of reference, Ms. Moore, over here on the right side is where the stadium is and the stadium
Okay.
parking. So this would give us access, exterior access to this facility and be able, so that it would be able to be used in evenings and weekends and in the summer, but we would be able to also close it off so that they would not have access to the facility, the rest of the facility.
Yeah, and
Okay.
let me just add, Ms. Moore, to that. These are just preliminary designs that were done walkthroughs. Once we're in the process, we have a request for a proposal for an architect and a contractor. When we sit down with them and they look at the school site and the plans, they may recommend to us another site for the media center or another area of the building that we would consider. This is just our recommendations on preliminary discussions with the past administration and an architect that we hired for initial preliminary design.
Okay. I have another question.
Yes, ma'am.
In relation to Ken Hoy area schools, where's Clement Ferry Road in relation to Ken Hoy Road?
It's right there.
I mean, do those roads come
This is Cane Hoy
meet
Road.
together?
Yes, ma'am. This is Cane Hoy Road right here, Ms. Moore,
Okay.
where this red dot is, and this is Clements Ferry Road.
Yeah, I just don't understand why, the school, my understanding that the school and some of the citizens too from the Ken Hoy area, that school's supposed to replace the school that was closed years ago. And what bothered me and some of the citizens, that Ken Hoy name is not being played up your Clement Ferry area instead of Ken Hoy area. I think I spoke to Mr. Thompson about that earlier too. But on my other question, do you have the land for that school yet?
No, ma'am.
We have that site there under contract for the school site, and I'm glad you brought up the naming of the school. Based on our policy for naming of facilities, Mr. Wright would have to be on that committee because he represents the majority of the citizens, but I would request to our board chair that they put you on that committee, the naming committee, as well as Doug Cooper, and let you guys work through the process to name that school.
Consider it done. Ms. Moore, you're on the school naming committee. Congratulations.
You know why I'm laughing? I'm laughing because I was on that next committee too, and Mr. Heisler, that's his name, down in the Goose Creek area, he brought up the historical background of that area, and yet I couldn't get them to put Sheep Island someplace on the name of that school. It was a whole different new name. But anyway, thank you. I'll accept that. I appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am.
Because that was my first job, working at the Kean-Hoy School. That's my first teaching job. So I have a real close feeling for Kean-Hoy community. That's my first job.
Ms. Moore, I'll make sure that Chairman Wright, gives you the opportunity to speak.
I
Welcome to the committee.
appreciate that.
All right. Dr. Etheridge, the floor is yours, sir. Sir, excuse me.
Mr. Franchini, could you go back to the cross picture? We were given a tour of the gym and the change facilities for the students back in the back, and it was very easy to see that needed terrific renovations. But nothing was ever said about the change facilities for the other side of the school, for the baseball and the football. What shape are they in?
We are working on that within the, for maintenance right now.
All right.
That's being addressed for the, yes, sir.
Okay.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Franchini regarding the presentation?
Yes, I have one.
Mr. Marino, you have the floor.
Mr. Franchini,
Yes, sir.
if you can go to the all projects, the budget estimate slide. One thing that comes to mind is, I guess, the major renovations. And there were some major renovations done to Timberland High School with the HVAC system. And I'm not completely that firm on what the number was, but I thought it was like $6 million or $6.3 million.
About right.
What happens with the money that we used to pay for that renovation, since it doesn't come out of this budget? I'm assuming we paid for it out of, I guess, some other funds. But do we realize the savings here, or do we use that money for other projects? I'm just curious.
Well, it hasn't been designated for anything else at this point, but these are, again, are our budgeted amounts that are available. We don't, again, going back to Mr. Obie's original question, at this point, these are our estimates, and based on spring of 2012, and we don't know what our actual prices are going to be until we get to the final process for each school site. So
It's potential
I'm not-
savings.
it's potential
Okay,
savings, yes.
And that's I want to make sure,
But-
if we don't have to use that money, since we pulled it from somewhere else, we can realize the savings somewhere to show.
It's potential savings, or if projects, if construction costs continue to rise, you may have the opportunity when you approve those budgets to shift that money elsewhere, or we would not have to use that, and that would be a savings to the taxpayer.
Right. Thank you.
All right, any other questions or comments for Mr. Franchini? Everybody, sounds like we've got them all answered. Thank you very much, Mr. Franchini.
Thank you.
Next up is agenda item number 9, financial services. Up first for Mr. Thomas is an item for action, RFQ number 388, entitled Roofing Consultant Services.
Dr. Murray, members of the board, and Dr. Thompson, you have in your packet an RFQ 388 for roofing consultants and professional design services. You have the award notice and the evaluation criteria attached to that. These are 2 vendors we've used in the past. They're for helping us to design roofs and help us with the bidding, and to also help us with long-range planning with where we also need to do roofing projects. So we'd like to award that to ADC and Stafford Consulting. It's an RFQ, so the cost would be in the budgets when we present capital improvements or through referendum or whatever they may be.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Do I have a motion and a second for agenda item 9A, entitled RFQ number 388, Roofing Consultant Services?
Mr. Chair, you do. I move that we approve RFQ 388 for the 2012-2013 roofing consulting professional design service needs to ADC Engineering and to Stafford Consulting Engineering as presented by Mr. Thomas, with the understanding that the cost amounts for those services will be in the budget for each individual project.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Obie has made the motion to approve agenda item 9A. Mr. Marino has seconded that motion. Do we have any discussion regarding the motion? Dr. Etheridge.
One quick question. What does a roofing consultant do?
they would, in my best guess, would be helping us with projects, what roofs, go look at the roofs, tell us what need to be done, when they need to be done, and long-range planning, but also help us with evaluating the bids, helping us with the bids, that sort of thing, and the design, what kind of design would work better for that facility.
But they're not actually in the roofing
No,
business.
at a prior board meeting, y'all actually approved 3 or 4 vendors for us to have as an inventory of contractors to go to. Did I do it right, James? Okay.
All right. Are there any other questions for Mr. Thomas regarding Agenda Item 9A and the motion? All right. We'll call the question. A motion has been made by Mr. Obie and seconded by Mr. Marino to approve Agenda Item 9A, RFQ number 388, Roofing Consultant Services to ADC Engineering and Stafford Consulting. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Mr. Thomas, the motion was approved unanimously, 9-0. Items for information.
Items for information. I don't want to scare you because I'm not going to go through this whole thing. But if you have any specific questions, I can, at a later time during break or email me, whatever. But as part of our procurement process, we're required on a semi-annual basis to present to the board the sole source, emergency procurement, minority business, and purchase orders or expenditures over $100,000. You should have those reports prior to tonight's meeting, and that's just part of our procurement process is to have that listed in the board minutes that we presented that, and also to let you know we're currently going under a procurement audit and should have that draft by Thursday to present it at a future board meeting at some point in time. But this is just for information, and if you have any specific questions, you can see me at a break or at a later date.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Now moving on to agenda item number 10, instruction and accountability. We have 2 items for information this evening. Agenda item 10A will discuss the primary report card. Agenda item 10B will discuss English Language Learner Summer Program to be held at College Park Elementary School. Dr. O'Gorman.
Mr. Chairman, Dr. Thompson, members of the board, ladies and gentlemen, Melissa Negreros is our new math elementary coordinator, and Dr. Murray, we're going to quiz you on the pronunciation of that name later on tonight.
Oh, I'm going to need some luck.
This is a very tedious process. Christy Furrow actually chaired the committee and couldn't be here tonight. Melissa was on that committee, and so she's going to walk you through what all this stuff is and how it came to be where it is today.
Good evening. Thank you guys for having me. I want to start by telling you that we knew we were going to need this report card because of a couple of things. Because of the new standards for ELA and math, and also because of our new curriculum that we've been in the process of writing this year. And so tonight I'm going to share with you the process that we went through to develop the report card, and also the support that we have planned to be able to support teachers and parents in using the new report card. The process actually started in January when there was an open forum for people to come and share their feedback on the old report card, things that worked, things that they liked, and also to provide input for what might be considered for the new report card. Then in February, committees were established for the writing to begin of the report card. There were 2 different committees. There was a full committee that consisted of representation from each school, teachers from each school, and also all principals were invited and encouraged to attend the full committee meetings. We also had a working committee, which was a subset of the larger group, and on that committee we had representatives from Teacher Forum, from Teacher Evaluation, from Special Services, as well as grade level representatives, and we had the coaches who were working on the curriculum so that they could help to make sure that the pacing was aligned. We worked to establish goals and a timeline for the development of the report card. And then the real work began in March when we started writing the report card. We worked together as a large group with both committees to come up with a mission statement. And this really helped to provide focus and helped for it to be a positive experience for everyone involved. We had the way that Christy designed the meetings was very efficient, where the working committee would work for a few sessions and then they would come back and bring it to the larger group and get feedback, and we kind of went back and forth like that during March and April. Our teachers worked very hard. Our people who served on the committees worked very hard in making sure this would be something that would work for parents and students and teachers. So we did that, and then we also shared information about it at principals' meetings and with the assistant principals for instruction. In May, we had a finalized report card, and we took it to the parent advisory group, and then also we took it to gather school level feedback. The members that were on the full committee, the larger group, took it back to their schools and shared it with their teachers, and any adjustments that needed to be made were made at that point. This is the mission statement that we came up with for the process and also for the report card itself. This really was a collaborative effort. The mission statement, as I mentioned before, helped us to stay focused on what our goals were, and it also helped us to work together and for everyone to be heard. The mission was really to develop a report card that was easy to understand and was concise, that followed the pacing of the district curriculum, and that was based on the standards. We also hope that and know that the report card will create consistency through a well-defined grading criteria across the district. You have in front of you some copies of the report card. This is the kindergarten report card. You have all three of them, kindergarten, first, and second, for your review. We know that we have a very good product with the report card that the teachers and all of the people who were involved helped us to develop. But we also know that it can't be successful unless teachers and parents have support in using it and understanding it. So on August the 14th, we're going to provide professional development to teachers, with the goal being that the teachers will learn and discuss and collaborate on how to use the report card to create consistency throughout the district. For parents, in addition to what you have in front of you, we will be developing pamphlets that go with each report card. They're grade level specific and they're quarter specific. So within each pamphlet, the parents will have a note that just kind of explains a little bit about the report card itself. They will have the skills and concepts that were taught and assessed within that quarter, and that will line up with the district curriculum. They will have the mission, as well as some frequently asked questions that we anticipate they may have. And that's all that I have, but I welcome any questions that you may have.
Yes, Ms. Lee, and then we'll follow with Mr. Cooper. Ms. Lee?
I wanted to make a comment as a parent, and having spoken to several parents that received these, and we're, as I guess an older generation, we're used to A, B, C, D, F, whatever. To get the 1, 2s, and 3s. For us to get a 1, 2, 3 scale was very difficult for many of us parents to look at it and say, oh, well, what does a 2 really mean? You know, okay, we know that a 1's not good, but what does a 2 really mean? But to have 4, I think, is a bit more comprehensive, and it's a little unnerving to get one of these report cards home, because there are so many different standards that these children are graded on, and many of the parents don't understand. But having a pamphlet to go along with it, with each quarter, explaining, you know, what to look for and how to read this document that comes home, that this is how your child was graded, is a bit more comprehensive, I believe. I think that I appreciate the 4 scale rather than a 3 scale, and the pamphlet is very nice. It's a nice touch, so thank you.
Good, thank you.
Mr. Cooper.
My question is, I understand, I think I understand what I'm looking at, but if I look at kindergarten and then line it up with the first grade, I guess I've got a little bit of concern is that my understanding from reading the key is the shaded areas are not assessed in that quarter, is that correct?
The shaded areas are not assessed during that quarter. However, we have included in there, and this will be further explained in the pamphlet, that if a child were to receive a 1 or a 2 in the quarter previous to that, then they would need to be reassessed and given a grade for that quarter.
My concern is if you look at the kindergarten report card, and it's under math, measurement and data, there's not going to be an assessment Q4. Geometry, there's not an assessment Q4. And if I go to the first grader's report card, there's also not an assessment in Q1 for measurement and data, so there's a whole half year that child won't be assessed. And then in geometry, the first 2 quarters of first grade, now we're up to 3 quarters of a year before they're assessed again in Q3. That gap doesn't exist in that same way between first grade and second grade. It all kind of gets synchronized there, but I just would have a little bit of concern whatever's supposed to be taught there, that you've got 3 consecutive quarters for one subject that you're not going to assess, and then 2 consecutive quarters, and the fact that they also go over your summer.
Right.
You know.
And I completely understand that. I think that with the standards themselves in each grade level, there are different areas of focus and critical areas. And so that's reflected, so there's not, at those grade levels, the main focus is on numbers and number sense, the number in operations and base 10, and not on measurement and data and geometry. But it is integrated within the other things.
Good, Mr. Cooper? Dr. Etheridge, and then I'll yield to Ms. Moore.
One quick question on the mechanics. Will a teacher complete this electronically and then
Yes.
send a hard copy home?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Ms. Moore?
My question, do you have, it's going to be more than 1 page?
It will be front and back. That was one of our goals in the beginning, was to try to keep it very concise so that it could be front and back.
And my other question, this is relatively new,
Yes,
to
ma'am.
me. The design of this report card, did you get it from someplace else?
Actually, we worked, our coach at Howell Hall worked to design the report card with the input of all of the teachers. Addie Futrell.
I asked that because it seemed very complicated,
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm just thinking
It has
about
drop-down
the
menus and
parents,
everything.
how are they going to,
Oh, yes, ma'am.
interpret all of this?
Yes, ma'am. Hopefully, that's why our intention behind the pamphlet is to provide that support for the parents.
I see.
All right, any other questions or comments? Not hearing any. Let's hear your last name pronounced. One more.
Negreros.
You said that one more time.
Negreros.
Ms. Negreros, thank you so much for your presentation on the primary report cards, and I will continue to work on that name. Thank you. Agenda item 10B, Dr. O'Gorman.
Before we move on, I just,
Put me on the spot, Doc. I had to try it
you
one
did
time.
good. You
Okay.
did good. And I like the accommodations that you provided for yourself.
That's
before
fine.
you made that
Phonics
pronunciation.
at work right there.
I just want to say I've been through this process of revising that report card a couple of times. I've seen that done a number of times. And just the questions if you've asked, you can realize how complex and complicated that process can be. And folks, I have not gotten one complaint, one phone call, one email, complaining about that process. And I just want to compliment the teachers in that committee for the great job of getting that done. That was really quite an accomplishment. As you can tell, it was not a simple task. So please report that back to the committee that they did good. And you did a great job.
I have a comment.
Ms. Moore has a comment. Go ahead, Dr. O'Gorman.
No, I'm just wondering, you said you didn't get any comments from parents?
I have not gotten any complaints.
Any complaints
Yes,
from
ma'am.
parents?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I guess the
Not
parents
yet. Not today.
I guess,
You're not going to start tonight, are you, Miss Moore?
let me ask you about the print. The print going to be larger?
We will do everything we can to make it
To make it
legible
larger.
as possible.
But I guess the parents are so confused, they don't know what to ask. If I would know what question to ask.
Thank you,
Well,
Ms.
no,
Moore.
I wouldn't know what question to
We,
ask.
that's a great point, Ms. Moore, with those frequently asked questions. If we go through the first run, the first quarter, when we get those calls in and questions, then we can make those modifications for the support that we can provide to them next time. And then, of course, with our parent meetings with schools, I'm sure our principals will, with the meet the teachers and open houses, and they'll have the opportunity, the teachers, to go over those primary report cards with their parents.
That committee will monitor how well this is received. So,
Yes,
thank you, Ms. Moore.
Perhaps we could send it home at the same time we send the state report card home. Then they would appreciate it.
Appreciate the size of the font.
Stay away from those complaints, Dr.
That was a good one, Dr. Etheridge. All right. Dr. O'Gorman, Agenda Item 10B, English Language Learners Summer Program.
I'm going to ask Ms. Prince to come forward. Earlier in the year, she expressed a concern about making sure that we were meeting the needs of her English language learners, specifically her Spanish-speaking students. And it wasn't too long after that that Dr. Caldwell had expressed a concern of not meeting the needs of that same adult population in the area. So we rolled up our sleeves and we threw a team approach at College Park Elementary, and so she is going to give you a summary of what our little project has come to.
Thank you. I'm excited to share our new program at College Park Elementary. And first I want to say, I think a picture is worth 1,000 words. You're just going to see continuous slides of our participants this summer, both adult and our children at College Park Elementary, and our younger ones as well. At College Park, we have approximately 20% of our students that are ESL, and primarily Hispanic. These students require additional services to learn, understand, acquire English, and be successful in school. In addition, majority of their parents do not speak English at all. So you can imagine daily communication with those parents is very difficult and overwhelming. And these parents really want to help their children, but it's a very difficult task and they can't communicate and provide that support from home. This project has truly been, Dr. Gorman said, a collaborative effort. And I thank everyone in the school district. They've been so supportive. I want to thank Kelly Wolf in special education, Dr. O'Gorman, Priscilla Calcutt, and Dr. Lily Caldwell and Denise Sling for their support. It truly is a great example of collaboration. We felt that we could really positively impact our ESL students and their families by really starting to teach them English and making sure we had those parents secure and able to help their children at home. We surveyed our parents, and we were so glad to see their vision was the same vision that we shared. They really wanted to learn English. They really wanted to be a part of the school. And with that survey, we had 40 parents sign up to take English at College Park Elementary, so we were very excited about that. We moved fairly quickly. I think we had our meeting in May, end of April, and in May we had maintenance come in. We had an extra building we're using for storage. Again, thank you to maintenance. They cleaned it out for us. We built a wall for an adult classroom, and they made some renovations for childcare. We had that up and going. And Diane Driggers in technology helped us with technology and internet access in that building. Dr. Caldwell and I met several times to kind of design what would this program look like for our children and for our parents, and how we accomplish that. We decided on the Best Plus curriculum. We provide instruction in the areas of building English, vocabulary, basic English grammar, and civics to our parents. We also knew that from our parent surveys that child care was critical to this component. So we provided child care for both our school-age children and their younger siblings, which was exciting. If you'll see in some of the slides from earlier that many of the toys and items you see in the photos were also compliments of adult ed. We went shopping at adult ed at Fishburne, so we want to thank Dr. Caldwell for that. And also, Office of Federal Programs through Title III funds provided child care for us, helped us to be able to do that. And also Title I funds paid for our school-aged children to attend the summer program, which we were already an identified site for that. Special Education Office provided us with curriculum materials to use with our ESL students. In the summer program, the target language skills. In addition, Title I funds also, we purchased 100 licenses for the Rosetta Stone program. So we're excited to start that whenever school takes back in with our students and with our parents in addition. On June the 3rd, we had a parent orientation for our Hispanic parents and adult ed pre-testing for our parents. On June the 10th, we officially opened the College Park Elementary Parent Literacy Center and began teaching English to our parents, providing child care and summer program for our school-age students. A special thanks to Child Nutrition. They provided breakfast and lunch for all of these families 4 days a week. We ran our program Monday through Thursday from 9 to 1 p.m. From June 10th to June the 27th, we had such an overwhelming response. We are now in our second wave and continuation of that program that we're running. Began on July 13th, and will continue through the end of this month. Although this program is just beginning, we really see the powerful impact it has had already on our ESL students, their families, and the community. Probably about the third day of the program, they called me. I was down in the parent literacy, and they called me to come up, and there was a woman, I would guess probably about 70, with a notebook in her hand, and asked could she learn English. And so we took her in, and I'm thinking what a great impact in our community that's going to have for our children. As a principal of College Park Elementary, when I see the mothers that are in this program, that are coming every day, bringing their children, they're really being empowered to help themselves and their children. That's just, to me, is very passionate. It makes me just get very overwhelmed and very excited. I see the sense of community among these women and the positive relationships that they're building, and it's just amazing. And we are so excited. When school starts, we're going to have our first group of Hispanic moms who are going to volunteer, who want to come and volunteer, and they told me how confident they feel and they can practice their English. So we're very excited about that. Our future plans include opening up our Literacy Center to all of our families at College Park, to offer literacy and numeracy activities for our younger siblings. We're going to implement the Mother Read, Father Read program. We have a parent as teacher educator coming to College Park, and continue our partnership with adult education, and hopefully expanding to offering evening class opportunities for our families. So we're excited about what's going on at College Park. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Prince. Dr. Thompson, did you have something? Go ahead, sir.
Ms. Prince, you complimented a lot of folks that played a part in this, and I would just like to commend you for having the vision to see this through. You named, well, I want to go back 6-7 months ago. You and I were looking at your facility, and you showed me this barn-like building out back. And I wasn't even sure that it was ours. Kind of hoping it wasn't. But what's transpired since that, and the use of that building, and you've named several folks, and we had probably 8 or 9 different departments working on this process. If you played a role in this, please stand up so we could recognize you. I know that. Go ahead, don't be shy. Dr. Caldwell, Dr. Ling, Kelly, and when you show that collaboration that you spoke of, and people just rolling up their sleeves and working across departments, sharing resources, it's amazing what can be accomplished, and it just fits so much into our community engagement emphasis that we have to reach out to all of our community. And so thank you very much for your efforts and everyone else that was involved.
Thank you.
All right, before Ms. Prince sits down, does anybody have any questions or comments regarding the English Language Learners Summer Program at College Park Elementary? Ms. Lee.
I just want to commend you and everybody that had a part with this. It is fantastic. And I hope I'm not the only one that's getting a little emotional.
An outstanding program. Yeah.
I mean, just what you have done for our families. That's amazing. Thank you.
Well, good job, Ms. Prince. Thank you. All right, agenda item 11, the superintendent's report. Dr. Thompson.
Thank you, Dr. Murray and members of the board. Tonight, each of you had an invitation at your station to invite you to the new teacher orientation luncheon that will be August 5th at Berkeley Middle. Please join us for lunch if it will fit into your schedule, and that lunch at Berkeley Middle School will be 11:15 through 12:15, and that's our new teacher orientation luncheon. Also, like to mention, the summer is a time of training and staff development, professional development for our staff members, and that was the case today for our principals. We're going through Leadership Week this week, and they were in intense training today. And hopefully, as I shared with them this morning, we'll go through Thursday morning, that they'll be like a first-year teacher, so anxious to get out of that room, ready to go back to the start of school. But we are working, they're learning a little bit about cognitive coaching and the annual assurances that we go through. Phase 2 of the Common Core implementation is a large part of that training as well. And so our administrators are working very hard this week. I'd like to Talk about Stuff the Bus activities. We have our big day, our rally day coming up very soon, but already in June we've had a golf tournament to raise funds for our school supplies. Last week we had our first annual Shagging Under the Stars at the old Santee Canal State Park. We had a great turnout for that last Thursday night. Reminder that our Stuff the Bus rally will be on August the 3rd from 10 to 2 at participating Walmarts in Moncks Corner, Somerville, and Goose Creek. Or you may drop off supplies at one of our schools through July 31st. I just want to emphasize about Stuff the Bus that it's not just a school supply drive. It is also about, just as we did at our principal training today, it's also about creating excitement for staff and students as they get ready to return to school. It's about learning how to be a volunteer. It's about communicating the many wonderful things that are going on in our schools that our students are accomplishing. And it's about building relationships with our stakeholders. And I hope to see everyone on August the 3rd at one of our rallies. And I am sad to say that I'm going to close tonight. The Cross family lost a very valuable staff member this weekend that passed away, Mr. Antonio Simmons, who is a staff member there and a member of the coaching staff, died at a very early age, and he will desperately be missed. And just please keep the folks at Cross in your thoughts and prayers. And I think we're going to have a service for him at Berkeley High School this Friday. I believe that's at 11 o'clock. So please keep those folks in your thoughts and prayers. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you, Dr. Thompson. Next up on the agenda is item number 12, executive session. Tonight's executive session will serve the following purposes: to hear student attendance appeals, personnel considerations, contractual matters specifically involving Kelly Services and the land acquisition for the Tanner Plantation Foster Creek School, and finally a legal briefing. Do I have a motion and a second to move into executive session?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Dr. Etheridge has made the motion. Ms. Moore has seconded the motion to move into executive session. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. We are now moving into executive session.